Bent elbow shoulder circle. The bent elbow shoulder circle is an exercise that targets the muscles of the shoulders and upper back. Here is how to perform the bent elbow shoulder circle. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and your arms at your sides. Bend your elbows and raise your forearms up so that they are parallel to the ground. Begin to rotate your shoulders in a circular motion, moving your elbows forward, up, back, and down. Keep your core engaged and your spine straight throughout the movement. Repeat the circular motion for several repetitions, then reverse the direction and perform the same number of repetitions. Elbow circle. 2-2. The elbow circle is a simple exercise that targets the muscles and joints of the arms and shoulders. Here is how to perform the elbow circle. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and your arms at your sides. Bend your arms at the elbows, bringing your hands up to your shoulders. Slowly rotate your elbows in a circular motion, starting with small circles and gradually increasing the size of the circles. Continue the circular motion for several repetitions, then reverse the direction and perform the same number of repetitions. Standing hip circle. A standing hip circle is a movement exercise that involves circling the hips while standing in place. Here is how to perform a standing hip circle. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart and your arms at your sides. Begin by shifting your weight onto your left foot and circling your right hip in a clockwise direction. As your hip moves forward, squeeze your glutes and engage your core. Continue the circle by moving your hip to the right, then backward, and finally to the left, completing a full circle. Repeat the movement in the opposite direction, circling your left hip in a counterclockwise direction. Good morning exercise. The good morning is a strength training exercise that primarily targets the lower back, glutes, and hamstrings. Here is how to perform the good morning exercise. Start by standing with your feet shoulder-width apart and place your hands behind your head. Keep your back straight, engage your core, and slowly bend forward at the hips, pushing your glutes back. Lower your upper body until your torso is parallel to the floor or slightly lower, but no lower than you can keep your back straight. Pause for a moment, then slowly raise your upper body back to the starting position, squeezing your glutes and hamstrings as you stand up. Trunk circle. The trunk circle exercise is a stretching exercise that helps to improve the flexibility and mobility of the trunk, the area from the base of the ribcage to the pelvis. Here is how to perform the trunk circle exercise. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart and your arms at your sides. Slowly rotate your torso to the right, keeping your hips facing forward. Continue the rotation, reaching your right hand towards the back and your left hand towards the front. Pause for a moment, then slowly rotate your torso back to the starting position. Repeat the rotation in the opposite direction, rotating your torso to the left and reaching your left hand towards the back and your right hand towards the front. Standing bicycle crunch. The standing bicycle crunch is a core exercise that targets the abs, obliques, and hip flexors. Here is how to perform the standing bicycle crunch. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart and your hands behind your head, with your elbows pointing outwards. Lift your right knee towards your chest and rotate your torso to the right, bringing your left elbow towards your right knee. Return to the starting position, then lift your left knee towards your chest and rotate your torso to the left, bringing your right elbow towards your left knee. Continue alternating sides, performing a pedaling motion with your legs as you rotate your torso. Wall sit. The wall sit is a simple yet effective isometric exercise that primarily targets the quadriceps, but also engages other leg muscles such as the hamstrings, glutes, and calves. Here is how to perform the wall sit. Stand with your back against a wall and your feet about shoulder-width apart. Slowly slide your back down the wall until your thighs are parallel to the ground, or until you reach a comfortable seated position. Keep your knees directly above your ankles and your feet flat on the ground. Hold the position for a set amount of time, typically 20 to 60 seconds. Slowly push through your heels and straighten your legs to return to the standing position. Step up. The step up is a simple and effective lower body exercise that targets the quadriceps, glutes, and hamstrings. Here is how to perform the step up. Find a sturdy bench, box, or step that is about knee height or slightly lower. Stand in front of the step with your feet shoulder-width apart. Step up onto the step with your right foot, pressing through your heel to lift your body up. Bring your left foot up onto the step, then step back down to the starting position with your right foot, followed by your left foot. Repeat the exercise, leading with your left foot this time. Half squat. The half squat, also known as the parallel squat or the half squat, is a lower body exercise that primarily targets the quadriceps, but also works the glutes and hamstrings. Here is how to perform the half squat. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart and your toes pointing forward or slightly outward. Place your hands on your hips or hold a weight with both hands at chest level. Brace your core and lower your hips down and back, bending your knees to a 90-degree angle or until your thighs are parallel to the ground. Keep your weight in your heels, your chest up, and your knees in line with your toes. Push through your heels and straighten your legs to return to the starting position. Flutter kick. Flutter kicks are a bodyweight exercise that target the muscles of the lower abdomen, especially the rectus abdominis. Here is how to perform the flutter kick. Lie on your back on a mat or a flat surface with your arms by your sides. Lift your legs off the ground about 6 inches, keeping them straight and together. Point your toes and begin rapidly alternating the up and down movement of your legs in a fluttering motion, as if you were swimming. Keep your lower back pressed into the ground and your core engaged throughout the exercise. Continue the flutter kicks for a set amount of time, typically 30 seconds to 1 minute. Hip bridge hold. The hip bridge hold, also known as the glute bridge hold, is a bodyweight exercise that targets the glutes and hamstrings. Here is how to perform the hip bridge hold. Lie on your back on a mat or a flat surface with your knees bent and your feet flat on the ground. Place your arms by your sides with your palms facing down. Press your heels into the ground and engage your glutes to lift your hips up toward the ceiling, creating a straight line from your shoulders to your knees. Hold this position for a set amount of time, typically 20 to 30 seconds. Lower your hips back down to the starting position and repeat for several repetitions. Plank with leg lift. The plank with leg lift is a variation of the standard plank exercise that targets the core muscles, as well as the glutes and hip flexors. Here is how to perform the plank with leg lift. Begin in a standard plank position, with your forearms on the ground and your elbows under your shoulders. Your body should form a straight line from your head to your heels. Engage your core and glutes to stabilize your body. Lift one leg off the ground a few inches, keeping it straight and maintaining the straight line from your head to your heels. Hold the leg lift for a few seconds, then lower your leg back down to the starting position. Repeat with the other leg, alternating legs for a set number of repetitions or a set amount of time. Half squat walk. The half squat walk, also known as the squat walk or the duck walk, is a bodyweight exercise that targets the muscles of the lower body, particularly the glutes, quadriceps, and hamstrings. Here is how to perform the half squat walk. Stand with your feet shoulder-width apart and your toes pointing straight ahead. Lower your body into a half squat position, with your thighs parallel to the ground and your knees directly over your ankles. Begin taking small steps forward, maintaining the half squat position with your thighs parallel to the ground. As you step forward, keep your weight on your heels and avoid letting your knees extend past your toes. Continue the half squat walk for a set distance or number of steps, then turn around and walk back to your starting point. Superman exercise. The Superman exercise is a bodyweight exercise that targets the muscles of the lower back and glutes. Here is how to perform the Superman exercise. Lie face down on a mat or a flat surface with your arms extended overhead and your legs straight. Engage your core and lift your arms, chest, and legs off the ground at the same time, keeping your neck in a neutral position. Hold the position for a few seconds, then lower your arms, chest, and legs back down to the starting position. Repeat for several repetitions. Reclined bound angle pose. The reclined bound angle pose, also known as Supta Baddha Konasana, is a yoga pose that helps to stretch and open the hips, inner thighs, and groin, as well as release tension in the lower back. Here is how to perform the reclined bound angle pose. Begin by sitting on a yoga mat with your legs extended in front of you. Bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet together, letting your knees fall out to the sides. Slowly lower your upper body down onto the mat, using your elbows to support yourself as you recline. Once you are lying flat on your back, allow your arms to rest at your sides with your palms facing up. Take several deep breaths, allowing your body to relax and sink into the pose. Front thigh stretch. The front thigh stretch, also known as the quad stretch, is a stretching exercise that targets the muscles in the front of the thigh, the quadriceps. Here is how to perform the front thigh stretch. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and your arms at your sides. Bend your right knee and lift your right foot behind you, grabbing your ankle or shin with your right hand. Gently pull your ankle or shin toward your glutes, feeling a stretch in the front of your thigh. Keep your knees together and your hips facing forward. Hold the stretch for 15 to 30 seconds, then release and repeat on the other side.